I had to buy the wife a new whip this weekend. I didn't have to. She needed.
She needed a new whip. Okay.
She needed a new whip, man.
Money GQ in the building.
Nah, in debt GQ, loan. No down payment, bitch.
No down payment. Damn. Those monthlies are gonna be heavy. What you get?
An infinity truck, man.
Whoo! Damn. Dude. Mama GQ is balling.
Mama GQ is balling. She tried to con me into getting one. I was like, nope. I'm the type of dude, like, I will ride a vehicle into the dirt. Like, I don't care. Like, you know, like, I want a new one. Like, who doesn't want a new car, right? Like, if you could just get one, but, you know, like, nah, man, I can't do that. But I say all that to say.
Nah, I feel that.
I say all that to say, you'll be in these shoes very soon, my friend, where your significant other's just like, I need it. You know, the boys, I need more space. I need more space. Yeah, man. We got to make a lot more shows so I can pay for some of this shit that.
I got you, bro. Don't worry. I'm still, you know, unmarried, living my best life. I'm not quite there yet, so you know we can share these moments together. And then when it comes on the other side, you can make fun of me. It'll be a great time. Don't worry about it. But the shows, they got to keep rolling on.
So did you see that Marshawn Lynch was trending yesterday, and they were showing like the soccer, like he was on the soccer field, I guess, and he looked like he was like, yeah, man, Money Lynch was trending, man. Beast mode was trending because I mean I'm assuming this clip is new, right? Where he's running on the field, takes the red card, runs the ball through the net. Like you haven't seen that?
No, see, I've seen the clip, but it's funny. I didn't see him trending yesterday, but I have seen that soccer clip. You know, he runs on the field and stuff, and he's Money Lynch. That's what he's doing, man. He's being himself. And there's one thing I can appreciate being on the BLK Box Show, where this is raw, this is real. That is who Money Lynch is, man. Marshawn Lynch, one of the realest dudes out there, living his life right now.
Yeah, man, and that's what we've aimed to do in the now 3 episodes that the BLK Box Show has been here. Is just authentic conversation, you know, no holds barred, real talk. And you know, we talked a couple of I think it was last show or maybe the show before about like Mount Rushmore of athletes and why certain players were on the list. And we got a lot of feedback, right? A lot of people were like, "Oh my God, how could you not have Muhammad Ali on the list, or how could you not have Michael Phelps, or how could you not have these soccer players or tennis players?" And the reality is, like, we talked about all of those dudes before we jumped on the mic, right? Like I considered putting a boxer, and I considered putting Michael Phelps in. I asked you, do you think Messi or Ronaldo should be in there? But you know, there's so many just different athletes around the world that affect us and impact us. And I think the feedback from that show just goes to show how far wide of a reach sport has for people. You know what I'm saying? Like,
absolutely.
In this pandemic filled, you know, year and a half that we've had, you know, what was it that people were like thirsting for, you know, going into the fall? It was sports. People wanted to see football. People wanted to see basketball. Are we going to have the NBA playoffs? Like, I want to see something on TV. And I just think the power of sport is just so, I see it with my kid, you know, my 4-year-old, and just starting T-ball and just watching these kids play together and learn, you know, to follow directions, to learn teamwork, learning about, you know, how to play the game of baseball in its infancy stages. There's just something beautiful about sports, man.
Yeah, and I think to kind of circle back to your original point, and both of us being massive sports fans, like to not have the NBA, or even for me, man, like I don't watch the NHL, but even to not have that just as something to watch, baseball over the summers, things getting delayed. Life was already at such a dark place when you talk about, mental health and people losing their jobs, the economy really taking a bad turn. Sports is one of those things that's always been an escape. And one of the key moments in my life that I don't remember as much because I was very young, but going back to 9/11, and I remember people talking about Mike Piazza's home run at, believe it was still Shea Stadium back then for the Mets, and what it meant to not just the city of New York to uplift all these people as just a sign that there was some sense of normalcy, and the way that people clamor to sports and gravitate to it for the stories, memories, like you're talking about team building sports. We saw another really monumental moment this past week at the Masters. For people who don't watch golf, the winner of the Masters this year was Hideki Matsuyama. He's a Japanese player, and he was the first Japanese male to ever win the Masters. And in the Masters history, it's predominantly white males. Other than Tiger Woods and a few other guys in between, it's really just white males. Masters and golf in general has not adopted to these new culture of athletes and how diverse it is. We see it across golf now, but back then, like something like this, like a Japanese player winning the Masters, was completely unheard of due to lack of talent, lack of resources. But what he means to the country of Japan is just, I almost can't even explain what it must be like because I'm not Japanese. I don't know what that's like, but I would compare it to the Raptors winning the NBA championship. I was someone who lived in Toronto, and I knew that for 8 years the city, the country was starving for a championship. We had a pretty good team. We went all in. But to see the actual result, we're talking a parade that was over 5 hours long to go a 10-minute drive. Like, it was supposed to end, I believe, at 1 o'clock, and it ended at 4. Drake was there. Like, it was just such a massive moment, not just for the city of Toronto, but for the country of Canada. And I can only compare it to that. To think about, in Japan, they must be going crazy. Like, they love golf there. They have super extravagant golf courses. They're going to have a statue built of Hideki Matsuyama for what he did and just how well he played that golf course. Augusta National is known as one of the toughest golf courses in the world. People play there year after year, and some find success, some don't. It varies every single year. But to dominate like he did in the second half, mainly in the end of the third round, going into the fourth round, he completely took over the tournament. And what it means just to people in Japan and maybe as well for Asians and the influence he may have on future generations. I can't even imagine what it must feel like to see someone like that from your home country win a Masters championship for the first time.
Yeah, man. And, I consider myself well-versed in the sports world. And until you told me about it, like, I had no clue. And maybe that was just a product of what I had going on in my personal life during that time where I wasn't just tapped into the Masters tournament. As, normally I'm one of those fair weather golf fans, man. Like, I'm not watching the random PGA Tour events, but like the big things like the Masters, US Open, like I try to tap in and pay attention to see who's winning. And I'm from Vegas. I like to gamble too, so I want to throw a couple of dollars down. But it's interesting that you bring that up about this particular player because honestly, I haven't seen anything here in Texas in the news, like on TV about it. Yeah. And I wonder if that's because he's not American. And for us, and I'm just throwing that out there to you. Like, I'm pretty sure that it was big news like the day after it happened and maybe the day after that. But I've seen nothing about him, his story. I'm not seeing specials run on ESPN about him, and maybe I'm just a week too late. But was there a lot of fanfare or attention surrounding him in that victory, not just right after the win, but a couple of days after that? Like, I've heard nothing about it, and I just wonder, here in the good old US of A, if it's not one of our own, is it diminished to a certain degree? And I'm not trying to say that he's not, of course he's American as well, but you get what I'm saying, right? Like, it's not, the white male establishment that is 99.9% of golf is white males. Is there a reason why we haven't seen it, or have I just been under a rock?
I honestly think it's a few different things, right? Like, obviously golf is it's an older generation type of sport. Like, you don't see a lot of young people playing golf, enjoying golf. Like even for me, I got into golf, at a young age, but it kind of left me a little bit. And as I got a little bit older, it's one of those sports that's extremely challenging, and that's kind of what drew me back to it. But to talk to Matsuyama's point, like he's a Japanese-born player, so he's actually like native from Japan. But like you said, I don't think many people would care, for one. It's a big story. It's a big deal. The Masters is the biggest tournament of the year, but it's also such a small consumer base that actually consume golf. Like it was a massive story, I'd imagine, on Monday. I know SVP is a massive golf fan, Scott Van Pelt, so I'm sure that he talked about it on his show that night. But beyond that, I wouldn't be surprised if it was kind of just an afterthought. Like even for us, we're knee deep in the NFL draft, and like we don't concern ourselves that much with golf, but it was a very big moment for Japan, for Japanese people. But I could see how stateside it would be kind of an afterthought. By Tuesday and by Wednesday the story would be pretty much over. Matsuyama, the first Masters male player to win the Masters. And that's it. You have your headline, you got your picture with him with his arms raised in the air, which is awesome. But I could see how beyond the Asian community, it could just kind of fall by the wayside, unfortunately. And that's just the society we live in. People like certain sports, and golf isn't one of those, major four by any stretch. And I think it's probably, 5, 6, or 7 in terms of popularity, especially amongst the younger generation.
Yeah, man, that's it's unfortunate that maybe I don't know enough about the sport or wasn't in tune to it, because it is a monumental moment. It's a key historical sports event, period, right? And I know that his family and his country and everybody who was cheering for him from Japan probably are still over the moon about that accomplishment and how special that was to him, or is to all of them, and to the young kids who look up to him, who aspire to be like him, because we've had those moments, right? As black males, Tiger Woods winning, like every damn black person thought we could all golf. Like we all went out and bought clubs, and now we want to get on the golf course because of Tiger Woods. So I think that moment for him, for his family, for his country is extremely awesome. It's something that, it's history, and it's just unfortunate that here I am stateside, and honestly, I'm not even joking, man. Outside of the next day, I haven't seen anything about it, haven't heard about it. I mean, we're still talking about Tom Brady getting tattoos and Bruce Arians getting a tattoo after the Super Bowl, and that was in February. And then this individual wins the biggest golf tournament of the year, and it's out of sight, out of mind. And you're right, we are consumed with NFL draft season right now, and I think, staying on the same theme, I mean, we seeing all of this noise around Justin Fields and his inability to process, his inability to play the quarterback position, right? No one's questioning anybody else, but Justin Fields, a player who from high school is literally 247sports.com has him as one of the greatest high school prospects of all time. Right there with Trevor Lawrence, right there with some of the other greats. And we never heard anything about this kid's mental makeup, his drive, his want, his determination, the grit. And literally days before the NFL draft, now all the questions about Justin Fields' ability to play the quarterback position comes to fruition, and it's just one of those things where I think we see this a little more often than we would like to with black quarterbacks entering the NFL. And I understand that it's not every single year, but it's more years than it needs to happen, in which these quarterbacks are questioned. Lamar Jackson, does he have the mental capacity to play the quarterback position? We're seeing it now with Justin Fields. Jalen Hurts starts 4 games for the Eagles, and he stinks. He didn't play well in 2 of those 4 games, so we need to find another quarterback. It's just so funny that everybody, the sports fan, wants to talk about how the NFL is changing and evolving, and we need these dual threat quarterbacks. And majority of these dual threat quarterbacks are black athletes, but then when they're getting ready to come into the draft, it's all these questions about their IQ and football ability and drive and want to. It's just a narrative that for me, I'm just so sick of having to talk about and discuss time and time again. It's ridiculous, man.
And I think to talk about that even further, the most troubling part of all of it really is that it's not like anything happened. And you've heard this from a few different people out there in the media to say, he finished playing in January. So what exactly changed from January to April that all of a sudden he can't process? All of a sudden he's not a good leader. All of a sudden he's not a good teammate. He's, not in the gym early. All these things that all I've heard about Justin Fields is what a great teammate, player, leader, and you see that all on the field. If you watch the tape, you say, yup, he's going through his reads. He's doing an excellent job. And like you said, he's one of the best quarterback prospects ever. But what is it with these, black quarterbacks? Is it that they don't fit that cookie cutter mold? In a lot of ways, maybe. And I think, like you said, the NFL just isn't changing fast enough, or at least the personnel is changing faster than the mentality, which is the ultimate issue, right? These black athletes in a lot of ways are getting stigmatized before they're seen on the field. And to kind of talk about another prospect as well is Trey Lance, another black quarterback who coming out of high school was not viewed as a full-blown quarterback. They wanted him to be an athlete. They thought he could potentially be a linebacker because he was a big guy. I believe he was 6'3", 240. But he wants to play quarterback. His dad, a former college football player, wanted him to play quarterback. That's what he learned to play. That's what he wanted to play. And at North Dakota State, they gave him that chance, but University of Minnesota wouldn't give him that chance. And I'm just imagining Trey Lance to Rashad Bateman. Like, think about that connection. If that actually happened, it's unfortunate to see these types of things from these black quarterbacks because they did nothing to deserve it. And a lot of these guys, you hear great things from within their institutions and as well coming up through the ranks from a lot of them. And it just doesn't make sense as to why at this last moment, right before they're supposed to get their money, their character's being questioned, their drive's being questioned, their will, their ability to play.
And see, for me, the issue with all of it, right? Because a lot of people, I've been very vocal on Twitter about how I feel about this conversation. And a lot of people have come back to say, well, this is just smoke screens by teams to push him down so they can draft him. And I think there's a far more insidious consequence to that sort of thinking. Mm-hmm. That line of thinking implies that it's okay to bash the character of an individual. Now, it's not okay to just frivolously bash the character of anybody. I don't care what race you are, what color you are, what gender you are. You just don't do that for no reason, like maliciously with no sort of basis behind it, right?
Yeah.
But when you're doing that and saying, "Oh, it's just a smokescreen in order to push him down for the team that really wants to draft him," well, it sets the precedent moving forward for other black quarterbacks to come after him that they're going to have to two-face the same type of situation in those same circumstances, and that therein lies the problem for me. And you hit a very key point. Justin Fields hasn't done anything. Like, he hasn't been arrested for anything. He hasn't been caught smoking weed. He hasn't done anything besides do what everybody else has done at this stage of their NFL draft process, is compete and answer the questions of the NFL evaluator. So grade him and judge him on the merits. You've got all these people, talking heads, coming out saying one day they heard from a source, and then the very next day they backtrack and say, well, I didn't vet the source out well enough, and in fact, that wasn't true. It's one of those things where, I don't even know if it's so much of I don't know if it's an NFL issue or if it's a fan media issue. I think the bigger part of the problem is people don't want to listen. You know what I'm saying? Like, everybody just wants to fire off their take and here's how I feel about it, where if we really had a conversation of why this is inappropriate, why this shouldn't be happening without merit behind it, then what are we really talking about? Like, we should be able to listen to the reasoning why this is so damn frustrating to have happen every single year. And, we saw the disgusting April Fool's joke, in air quotes, of Lamar Jackson. Yeah. Somebody, photo imposed TMZ and
fake captions
Lamar
and all
Jackson.
This stuff, yeah.
Lamar Jackson arrested. And then the picture they use He's got jewelry on. He's got a bandana on to imply that he's a thug or whatever the case may be.
To personify him a certain way, right? And that's a big issue.
Well, it's bullshit, man. Like, right now, dude, I got tattoos all over my arm, wrist, legs, chest, full back tattooed. And I work in corporate America. I work with people who are very, very wealthy and in the know in the Dallas space. And if I were judged off of just how I look, like, how would that would impact me and my family and my children, when the reality is I sit here and I talk to you. I've got not one, not two, but 3 degrees, 2 law degrees. Like, stop judging me because of how I look, because I wear a backwards hat, because I have tattoos, because I wear jewelry. That makes me a thug, when Lamar Jackson has done nothing but good for his community back home in Florida and his community in Baltimore. When Russell Wilson has done nothing but good for the people of Seattle. When Jalen Hurts, I saw something tweeted out today about what Jalen Hurts did with his first NFL money, and he gave $60,000 to charity. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't understand why the color of skin at a particular position, because they don't do this with cornerbacks. No one's questioning J.C. Horn's intellect. No one's questioning Najee Harris's intellect. He gets up there. You know, we talked about Marshawn Lynch at the beginning of the show, as hood as they come, straight from the projects of Oakland, right? Product of Oakland, and people love him, right? No one's questioning him, but at the quarterback position,
for whatever reason, it matters.
For whatever reason, the face of the franchise has to be clean cut and has to look like this and carry themselves in a particular way that makes somebody else feel comfortable, not necessarily the player. And to me, that's just BS, man. And that is what is frustrating about having to have this type of conversation with a young man who's not done anything wrong, and all he's trying to do is live out and fulfill his dream. If you don't like Justin Fields because of how he plays on the field, that's one thing. That's one thing. But to assassinate his character with baseless, insidious, and malicious attacks that are unfounded is dead ass wrong.
Yeah, and I think, to your point, the biggest problem for me is that, and we talked about this a lot, is the media just runs with these narratives, these unknown sources, these, people that just spew this information seemingly out of nowhere, like you said, to literally hurt this guy's draft stock, character assassinate him, do all these things that are completely untrue. But the problem is that people actually do gravitate to that information. They take it as fact because these people are influential in the industry. These people are well known. Like you said, they're talking heads. And that to me is probably the most disgusting of all, because then you get fan bases, you get people coming after these guys in their DMs, in their mentions, talking all kinds of shit. For what? They didn't deserve any of this. Anything that comes their way should be judged solely on what they do on the field. And you and I have talked about this a lot. Imagine what it would be like to be a professional athlete in today's society. The pressures you are already in to provide for your family. We've talked about what sports can mean to change your culture, your race, whatever, that type of demographic's life, and uplift them. But now talking about people who are trying to get out of a situation. They get a scholarship. There's all that pressure to make it to that next level. And they're being put down for something that could be completely false. No one's talked to them. No one said anything to them. Then people are saying things in their DMs, telling them they suck, all these things. But this is just widely accepted in society. And for me, it's just like, why? Why is that okay? And I know even for you, you've talked to me and saying, I don't like to talk shit about players. If I'm going to talk about them, it's going to be about their play on the field, like you already mentioned in this episode. So why is it okay that we can just talk about, oh, you did this or you did that or whatever? Like, people just spew all kinds of shit. And to think that wouldn't weigh on a player. We talk about with women as well, the same type of things in their mentions, in their DMs. All of this stuff, as much as we try to avoid it, we need to understand that this is something that is an actual problem in our society. Like, it's a legitimate problem. And we need to find ways to uplift everyone, to not be so negative and not attack people personally. It should be about what you do for your job in your everyday life. Like what you do in your own time, I don't care about that for the most part. Like within reason, right? If you're a good person and I have no reason to believe otherwise, then why are we coming after someone like Justin Fields? And like you said, man, this legitimately could tank his draft stock for seemingly no reason at all. And the media just runs with it. They don't care. They need something to talk about.
And I don't think it's gonna. I don't believe it will tank his draft stock. I don't. But what it can do is have a negative impact and a ripple effect for other black quarterbacks coming on after him. That is what is most concerning about it. And to your point, imagining what it's like to be a professional athlete and the mentions that they get, part of me is kind of like, okay, if I was doing a crappy job at my job and somebody was like, dude, that dude stinks, like, and my performance was not up to snuff, that's one thing. Yeah. I deserve the criticism, right? But if you haven't done anything or you just don't know the circumstances surrounding it, but that's to me, that's part of the gift and the curse of being a celebrity. That's a gift and a curse of being a public person, for right? Sure. You're letting people into your lives. You're letting people into you. And even with this show, like I look at some of the comments sometimes and I'm like, damn, that's pretty harsh. Like that, I'm still going to continue to do my thing, but I'd be lying if I said I didn't look at it or, to a certain degree, internalize some of the negative feedback that I've gotten, that we've gotten, that you've gotten. Yep. And a part of that just comes with the territory. If you don't want to have people critiquing you and your life and what you do and how you say it, then don't open yourself up to it. That's one side of the coin. But I flipped that back to say, just because I do that, it doesn't mean that I should have to accept that. Yeah. And there are times where I'm like, hey, back the fuck up. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Like, there's only so much that you can do over the computer screen. And most of the cats that have this chest out bravado keyboard warriors, they wouldn't say that same stuff if they were face to face with an athlete or face to face with me. Facts. Or face to face with you. Like it wouldn't happen. So I find solace in that most people don't really want that smoke, man. And I think that players like Justin Fields and players like any professional athlete, part of them, there's times where they could get sensitive. We've seen Kevin Durant get pretty damn sensitive here recently with Michael Rappaport. But, for the most part, they're probably like, who would really say that to Marshawn Lynch's face? Not me. Exactly. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm not going to do that. So it's just one of those things where I wish and I hear you. But that's not the way the world is, man. The world is nasty. Like, the world is nasty. It's not going to be pie in the sky, roses, kumbaya, sing around a campfire. So I think the best thing that we can do in Justin Fields is continue to press on. Let everybody else do the fight for him. Let people like us, let people like, whatever, Shannon Sharp or whomever it is come to that defense of the player, and we just continue to push forward because we're going to get bad feedback. There's so many shows that we do and people say we suck, this is terrible content. Like, we can't stop doing what we're doing. We just have to continue to press forward. So I hope that Justin Fields and other young black quarterbacks, other Japanese golfers, other whomever it is, continue to fade sort of that negativity and continue to push forward and onward, because the reality is the privileges that are given in this world, in this country, the hardships that some of us face because of the color of our skin, the privileges that are given because of the color of skin, that literally is the only thing that none of us had any choice over. Like, nobody. Like, we didn't ask to be black. You didn't, somebody didn't ask to be white. You have privilege or disadvantage, and it simply it comes from the one thing that we had nothing to do with, and that's the color of our skin. And it's crazy to me when you really like strip it all down, and if you peel the layers back, man, we are the same. Yeah. Like, we're all the same, but the melanin in my skin, the whatever that makes black people different from white, Asians different from Hispanics, that's what we fight and be so damn divisive over. And it's wild to me. It's absolutely mind blowing to me because there truly are good people everywhere, man. Like everywhere. And it's unfortunate that the small minority of just ridiculous idiots capture the collective unit of a whole. And I don't think that's true. I don't think that's fair, but that's what.
Yeah, and I think you've said it before, man. We all bleed the same blood. And at the end of the day, that's what it comes down to. No matter where you come from or where you are, we all bleed the same blood. But for whatever reason, that divide is still there. It's probably always going to be there, but we're just here to, shed some light on that, spread that positive message. And if Justin Fields does see this for some reason, like, Justin, we're here for you, bro. Future black quarterbacks, we're here for you because what's being done to you is not fair. It's not fair, and we all bleed the same blood. And I wish that we could see more equality. No matter if you're an Asian quarterback, if you're a Mexican quarterback, I just hope that in the future there is a time when it's closer to equal than it is right now.
I can assure you, Justin Fields is not watching the
You
Black
never
Box
know.
Show.
You never know, man.
I can almost.
I'll tag him. I'll DM.
you.
I'll be like, Justin, we talking about you, bro. We here for you. This is the Black Box.
Hey, listen, Fields, don't waste time, brother. Go prepare
Please.
to be a top pick in the NFL draft. Don't worry about it. Black Box will be here. We'll continue to be here. You go prepare. Justin Fields ain't checking out episode 3 of the show. So I wanted to tweet this out because it seems like right now the new wave, like badge of honor to show you I did it, is to tweet pictures or post pictures of your COVID vaccination shot, right? Like that's the new fucking thing for whatever reason. And you and I have had this conversation. Yeah. I want to know, everybody's talking about their shot. Oh, I got my first dose, my second dose. I'm trying to find the people out there who haven't gotten any. And does that make that individual bad, good? Does it matter? Because I just personally, I'm just like, yo.
Oh, yeah.
How? How did they create this so fast? Yeah. Are there long-term effects? Like, should we be rushing to just go get these shots? Mm-hmm. And, I mean, if I've never been sick, if I've never had it, or hell, if I did have it.
Yeah, you thought you had it.
I didn't die. I'm pretty damn sure I had it at one point, but, neither here nor there. I'm still here. Like, what is your stance on COVID vaccinations? And are there any concerns about taking this shot that literally the other day they're like, oh, you might need a third one in 6 months?
I mean, so let's start with I am not a doctor. I'm not a science professional, okay? But I do have a degree in biochemistry. So maybe there's a little trust factor.
That means
there.
absolutely nothing.
No, that means
it
means a little bit. It means I was forced to learn about the human body, and I remember some of it. So to educate you,
I learned about the human body. I learned about the human body.
Yeah, I know you had sex. Okay, that's great. Thank you, superstar, sports athlete. Yes. We know that you don't know anything with your vaccine talk right now. So, to people who don't know what a vaccine is when they use genetic information from that creates antibodies in the body. What they do with that information is they inject it into you. What your body does is it recognizes that genetic code, and then it's like, oh shit, it's here, the virus. But hold up, wait a minute. The virus isn't actually active, so it's not actually going to do anything to you. The whole reason why the vaccine is important is that it recognizes the virus itself within your body, an inactive form. Sometimes it's the whole virus in one, sometimes it's in pieces. It depends on the virus and all these things. This is how a flu shot works. So you know that thing that people push on you every year to get so you don't get sick? It's no different. The flu shot and the COVID vaccine are basically the same thing. So to say that you would get a flu shot and you wouldn't get a vaccine, or you would get a vaccine, you wouldn't get a flu shot, it's kind of pointless to say you would get one and not the other because they're basically the same.
Okay, what if I don't get the flu shot?
That's okay. And the reason why the flu shot is kind of stupid, in my opinion, is that people don't know that the flu shot is a guess. there is, I believe, 22 strains of the flu virus, influenza, and the World Health Organization, what do? They guess as to what strain is going to be most prevalent in that region of time during the year. So you may get a flu shot, and they may guess wrong, and you still get sick. It's just reality of life. But to go back to COVID, COVID has been around for a long time. This is COVID-19. It's not COVID number 1. It's COVID-19. So the same way there's influenza H1N1 and H726 or whatever the hell it is, how many they got, it's COVID-19. So it's a new strand of coronavirus, but coronavirus has been around for a long time. I believe that Moderna has been working on a COVID vaccine since 2013. So think about that for a second. While it wasn't prevalent in 2018, they were still working on it because, they've seen the effects of coronavirus. They know how it can be deadly. They understand the respiratory implications of it because it's been around for a long time. But it wasn't a big deal until 2019, 2020, and now, of course, 2021. That's one of the reasons why this vaccine came about so quickly, because they already had an understanding of the COVID virus, just like they have an understanding of the flu viruses whenever they arise each and every year. And as well, these new strains, they keep popping up, they keep mutating. But it's important to get your shot for 2 reasons. The same reason you wear a mask is to protect other people and protect yourself. While you may see there's harm in getting the vaccine, you're also helping other people as well. Because if you get sick and you spread it to other people, you're not doing any good to make the world a better place. If you don't believe in it, well, that's a different story. But if you believe in coronavirus, you should probably get the vaccine to protect your family and other people. I'm not saying you got to get it right away. But I'm.
Wait a minute. Okay. Wait a minute. First of all, I've never said that I didn't believe in it. I 100% believe in it. I had the damn thing. I know I had it. I tested negative, but damn it, I had it. I wear a mask. I live in Texas. No one wears a mask here. Nobody. Yeah, I had one on today. I was in Cavender's boot store looking for a cowboy hat, and I was the only person in there who was black, and I was also the only person in there with a mask that just happened to be black. So it was like triple black going down in Cavender's boots. Nobody had a mask on. I wear a mask. I didn't say that I didn't get the vaccine. I just asked the question. If I don't post it, like clearly if you don't post it, you didn't get it. But I'm just asking the question to figure out, will I be stoned in public? Will I be guilt tripped as you just did? If I don't take it, I've done a horrible job at protecting myself and the world and the family. If I don't get this vaccine that they just whipped up in the microwave a couple of months ago and say, here you go, it's ready to go. I'm just asking the question.
So I think the funny answer is that for you, because of what you just described, probably not. How many people are just going to say, screw it, I'm not getting the vaccine. I don't wear a mask. I don't care. Like you said, you live in Texas. They don't wear masks. They don't care. Everything's open. Where I live, everything's shut down. The variant's going crazy. We can't even get vaccines because it's so bad. And, our government isn't the best. But, in the public, will you get shunned? Oh, hell yeah. If you put it out there. But you're a smart guy. You don't got to put it out there. You don't got to say you didn't get it. Doesn't mean you're not going to get it. I would recommend, to anyone out there, get it because it does protect you. It does protect other people. It is not going to give you coronavirus. All it does is it introduces the virus to your body so your body can defend itself in the instance that you do get exposed to the virus. That is the best way to put it. That's why you should get it. You're protecting your body, you're protecting your family, you're protecting everybody else. It's just important. What you choose to do, it's up to you. I wouldn't even post it. That's just not my style. I don't gotta flex that I got the virus. I don't got the vaccine. It's just not who I am. But people want to say, I got it, so you should get it type of thing. And, that's cool. It's good. If you believe in it, that's good, right? I don't disagree with that, but I probably wouldn't do it myself.
Well, there you go. You heard it first from Dr. Richards.
Yes, sir.
Do your part. Get your vaccine shot. Make sure you stay safe. Continue to wear a mask, or you could just move to Texas. We out of this thing.
What a long tangent on vaccines. I went for it. I was like, this is it. You guys need to know this stuff. People need to know. If they're going to watch to the end, they're going to get some information out of it.